Hi, folks. Welcome to Nerds and Nonsense, Episode 2, What You Are Watching.
Yes, so we did one episode already of what we were watching on streaming platforms, so I don't really care if it's new or old, we kind of watch it. Maybe you're on the fence on watching it, you don't know if you want to watch it yet, maybe we can give you a suggestion,
there's a lot of stuff out there that's on a platform.
So we're going to watch stuff that's going to be out there, like, hey, this might be interesting, and we probably suggest it to you. Hopefully you either want to watch it, see how bad it is, or watch it and see how good it is. So
it depends on your taste.
Yeah. So come on, why don't you start us off and tell us what you've been watching recently?
Okay. So I'll start off with probably one that's been trending a lot. I watched the Wednesday series on Netflix, which was really refreshing and surprising. At first, I think I saw an article that talked about it coming out, and I saw the actors, and I really felt like this sounds like it's going to be a bad series. Just no one, the look and the feel is very different from the Addams Family of the 1990s that many of us grew up with, Christina Ricci and Angelica Houston, and rest in peace. What's the guy? Raul Julia, amazing, really amazing actors.
Was Christopher Lloyd in that movie as well, right?
Christopher Lloyd was in it too. It was the first production, at least the first remake, was really good. That one. But then when you sit down and you watch this one, everything's done exceptionally well. Okay. It's still a Tim Burton production. The actors who play the roles are really good. And actually, the surprising and really refreshing thing, you get like a Latino sort of, goth culture feel to it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which was really cool. So you get this very kind of dark Wednesday who's very morbid. But also interesting, she kind of becomes those sleuths. Kind of reminds you of like Harriet the Spy from Nickelodeon in a way, how she's like solving things. But the pacing of the story is really good. They have great characters, great interactions, and I got a kick out of it, and I definitely recommend it.
Is it a movie or a show?
It's a TV show.
Gotcha.
So there's a number of episodes. It sounds like it's already been renewed for like another season at least. And there's some really iconic moments that go on in it, especially in kind of symbolizing goth culture for a lot of the people who enjoyed those scenes.
Yeah.
Especially, I think the most classic thing is the dance scene that she has at the school dance, where it's even gotten to the point of popularity where now it's like a repeating GIF that you find in social media. So it was really good.
Do you have to watch the other Addams Family movies to understand this one?
You can watch this by itself. It stands alone.
Okay, so you don't understand it? Okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to watch any of the other ones. I think one of the things is to understand the styling of it. The original Addams Family TV show kind of has this interaction with the different personalities, and I think it reflects more. So when you see Catherine Zeta-Jones' version of Morticia, she's more like the Morticia that you had in the TV series. So it's quite good.
Okay, cool. I'll probably put that on the list along with a lot of other stuff I need to watch. But
all right.
One of the things I've been watching recently is a movie on Amazon Prime, and it has one of my favorite actors in it. It's Liam Neeson. It's a movie called Memory. So you watch it, you kind of see what does it mean, memory. So that means a lot of things. So. In a lot of his movies, he's an agent, or in this case, he's a hitman, right?
Oh, he's a hitman.
He's a hitman, and then he's slated to kill a young girl in this one, but he doesn't go through with it because he doesn't kill women or young girls, right?
Okay.
And then the hit is put on him because he doesn't go through with it, right? And they kind of kill the witness and all stuff, and he wants to help the police catch the killer. And the memory aspect that comes into it is that his family has a track record of getting Alzheimer's disease. So his brother has it, and he has it. And at the end, he kind of gets it too. And then I don't really buy it as much because when he has his expressions in it, I don't really get it. So it's a cool concept, but it's not one of my favorite movies from him at all. I think it could have been done a lot better. I like a lot of his other movies, but this one I wouldn't really recommend it that much. It's okay. It gets interesting, and there's a little bit of plot twist, but then it becomes kind of predictable. And I wasn't a big fan of the way he was kind of portraying the Alzheimer's a little bit. It's a little bit awkward.
Stereotypical, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit, and it just didn't seem like it fit like an actor of his stature. To do those kind of things.
When did this movie come out?
It actually came out this year.
Okay.
So it's on Amazon Prime already. So, but if you want to watch it, then go ahead. I mean, I'm a big fan of his movies. So
what's really funny is there's a movie that he did in the '90s where he plays a spy who forgets his memory.
Yeah.
And he's confused. He confuses his cover for his actual identity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of funny that he's playing a role that's so much like a role he's already played before. Maybe it's just contracted money, and that's why he did it.
Exactly. So, Memory, the sequel, Remembrance,
That's a good price on that contract. I'll do the role.
And, that seems to be his, kind of role nowadays.
Yeah.
But no different concepts. But this one seemed kind of like I didn't really like it that much. So I mean, but if you guys want to go see it and then judge for yourselves, be my guest. So
how long is the movie?
It's a little bit over an hour and a half, a little bit more. So they get into depth explaining kind of the different things. The characters are okay, and it's okay. I mean, I didn't think it was that great, and I'm probably glad that I waited to see it on streaming platforms instead of in theaters. So
if you needed a film to fall asleep to.
Oh yeah, in a way. I mean, me and my wife kind of just turned it on to enjoy it, but we're fine. But she didn't fall asleep, so I mean, I didn't. That wasn't that much talking. But what else are you watching? So
the next one that I started watching that I've been enjoying, that I've been looking forward to for a long time. I think it was years ago on Twitter. I actually kind of I brought up the movie, and I think I made a tweet to some people who were in production. I was like, it'd be really cool if you revived Willow. And then,
lo and behold,
it happens. Yeah. My prayers are answered. And it's been fun. It's been a fun series to watch. I think they've probably released the 3rd or the 4th episode now. Mm-hmm. And you get to revisit some of the older actors who were there. The main actor, the little person, he's still around. And it's great because when he's in the first movie, he's learning to become a sorcerer. Mm-hmm. In this reiteration, this series, he's now a master sorcerer.
Okay.
You had the lady who was the warrior kind of princess, and she's kind of gaining her reins and fighting her evil queen mom or something in the 80s movie, and then now she's the queen herself, and she's ruling and balancing power. And I think one thing, which is kind of sad, of course, those of us who watch Top Gun know about Val Kilmer and how he's, not in films as much, and he's
dealing with a lot of health issues,
battling throat cancer. So in this, they kind of wrote out his character is just, as Mad Mardigan running off as soon as, they had a baby, and, et cetera, et cetera. But the story is pretty cool. In that it brings in all these new characters, it expands a bit more of the interaction of the kingdoms, and it's a good place to start, especially kind of in this era of a lot of really great fantasy productions.
Okay, and what streaming platform is it on?
So I think I want to say Wednesday is before. I think that was on Netflix. Willow is on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay, all right, Disney Plus.
So it's a Disney production.
Okay, cool. All right, that's nice to see that. And how long since the original came out?
Gosh,
it's probably longer than Avatar, right?
Yeah, I want to say Willow probably came out in 1989.
Oh wow, yeah. So
I think I still have the placemats that were from McDonald's.
Hey man, that might be worth something. So
it might be worth something, but it's amazing that it's back out again.
Yeah, so this is probably one of those instances a sequel after this long is probably not a bad thing, right? So it's it's. People probably ask for it and maybe a continuation, and that's probably a good thing,
There's certain franchises I think you can revive, especially if there's enough history behind it where people only have good memories of it. I can't think of anyone who's like, I hated Willow when that came out. Everyone remembers the merchandising from McDonald's and the sales and the music, it was good memories.
That's good.
Come back to life.
Yeah, so something that some cases it's good to bring something back after all this time, and still has all the feels. So that's good.
So the funny thing is, for depending on the generation, I guess is how the effect is when you bring something back.
Yeah. So,
even Wednesday, we have good memories of the 90s Addams Family.
I guess if you keep it close to the source material, don't try to change it too much, then it'll be okay. Some people might have a cry uproar about it and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes it's just these small ones, it's not too bad,
Yeah.
So, But one of the other shows I've been watching, it's on Netflix. It's called Crime Scene: The Times Square Killer. So I love these documentaries about this stuff.
Killers.
So, yeah, killers. It's going to be a constant on my. At least have to watch one of them.
Because I think you covered Jeffrey Dahmer last time.
Yes,
right?
I did. So yeah, it's going to be at least one. I won't. There won't be too many, but it won't flood the podcast.
Killer Andy, but I did the killer.
Yes, and I watched that one. I liked it. I watched it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, you recommended it. I watched it, and you mentioned how it was San Diego, and it was a really interesting story. Yeah. So
after the fact, I felt kind of bad because okay, it's kind of the typical vilifying like the muscle black guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was interesting.
These but then I saw at the end, and she got a happy ending. So she served her time, and it's one of those things where it's like you're conflicted. Is she a bad person? Is she a good person?
Kind of get like a Tiger King feeling.
Yeah, that was weird.
That's a weird one.
I remember watching that one. So
so is this one Netflix or?
Yeah, Netflix. So this one is based off a killer that has been killing women, like prostitutes, in Times Square. So, I didn't know this, but Times Square back in the 70s, 80s was kind of like the red light district before that.
It was gritty.
Yeah, so it was.
Downtown
it was not like
San Diego was gritty the same way.
So it wasn't like what you see now. Like it's like a lot of like porno shops, bathhouses, all kinds of weird things like that. So it was like a.
The movie Taxi is a great way that it explored that. I think that was, I can't remember if that was a Scorsese movie, but it was gritty back then.
So, but it was like kind of a breeding ground for violence, for sex workers, drug use, all kinds of killing, all that kind of stuff.
Vice.
Yeah, exactly. So it started off in a hotel where they, the fire department responds to a fire, and then it puts out the fire and finds on bed like two dismembered bodies, and an arms are dismembered too.
It's like Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, so it's like it's two women, right? But they don't know who it is. They do a lot of investigative work, and they find out into how Times Square is just like it's just leading into this. So it's very difficult because a lot of sex workers, probably today too, but more and back in the day, is like stigmatized, and they when they report crimes of what happened to them, it's like look the other way. Exactly. It's like, oh, it's just another sex worker. They don't care, So it's like people are getting scared, and then it had to take like more women getting killed and stuff like that in order for them to actually do something. So, it gets into the depth, some good old investigative work. And back then, remember, there was not like DNA testing like it is today, and cameras and all kinds of like testing that we have today. So it took a while, and it finally had to get to a point where they had to shut down all that stuff that was happening in Times Square. It turned into what it is today. So it probably for the better, right?
Definitely for the better. Definitely.
Because if they had that today, it'd probably be like a worse version of Vegas, But I guess Vegas is more controlled. But it's definitely good to check it out. I never heard about this killer before, So. But they did catch him, So and
they caught him.
They caught him, yeah. So they a lot of good work. They followed a trail, because they know. The thing about serial killers is this.
He's an expert.
Yes, I major in criminology. I think I say I'm an expert. I can think I can say I'm an expert in this, but they will continue to kill and stuff like that until they are caught. It's just their ego. It's just their mindset. They're psychopaths.
It's a compulsion.
Yeah, exactly. If they do it to one person, why not do it to another person and another person, and until they get away with it? And it's like fulfilling their fantasies and all that kind of stuff of what they see. And then the
sounds like you should be in the series Wednesday, because that's one of the things that she investigates.
Why not? I'm open. I'll be on a TV show. Pay me low income or something else. If it starts off my movie career, sure, why not?
Wednesday's mentor.
Yeah, right. I'll be Thursday. And that's good.
There we go.
But it's just the mindset is just something like something like the red light district will facilitate someone's fantasies like that to turn into that kind of behavior. So
especially in an era like that.
Yeah, exactly.
His when you even one of the biggest mysteries and a thing like that was like Jack the Ripper, right? And the turn of the century, and people don't have the technology that we have now, and when people say falling through the cracks of society, the cracks are even worse historically. So it was an interesting time. Of course, I'm glad things have changed for the better. Of course, So are all those crimes, they still exist now?
Yeah, it's don't be shocked when you hear about these kind of things like this happen, and then when they put out these movies or TV shows, people are, oh my God, that happened. Yes, it did. Right. I mean, that's how we learn from our mistakes and how we can prevent them from happening in the future.
Yeah, it's sad stuff.
Yeah. So, but
I try to not watched too many of those things.
Oh yeah, but well, I'm an expert, so I have to watch it for you guys. So, but
and unfortunately, I didn't catch Killer Sally. So
I like that one. That was good.
But that was they're all good as sociological studies. I have to watch a bit more documentaries.
Yeah,
and things like that.
So what else have you been watching?
I want to say, well, surprisingly, and this is kind of out of date, I guess, because we'll cover old.
Old new stuff doesn't matter.
Well,
it could be.
I finally got to sit down with Paramount streaming, and I've been getting caught up on Star Trek.
Okay.
And I was raised as a Star Trek kid. My parents.
So which Star Trek is it?
So this one is Discovery.
Okay. I know that there's a new one and there's like an animated one too, right?
There's a couple new ones. I think even maybe Picard might be the newest one. Okay. I haven't watched that one yet. Mm-hmm. Discovery was like when they first, like the first reiteration of them reviving, Star Trek again, like after the gap and after the movies. And this one is pretty interesting because there's a lot of time travel. It has one of my most favorite actresses in it, Michelle Yeoh. And that was like one of the main reasons why I really wanted to watch it, because she's an amazing actress, and seeing her in science fiction.
Yeah, her coming back is Shang-Chi. That was it everybody?
Oh, yeah, she was in Shang-Chi.
Was it everybody something?
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
I still have to see that movie. I heard it's really good. So.
I have to watch it again. I think I watched it late night after the gym, and I think I had a beer or so, and I fell asleep. So,
is it on a streaming platform?
It's probably by now. It should be.
Okay,
and I know it's up for some awards, but that's also a science fiction movie technically.
Yeah, I heard. I heard it's a multiverse movie too. So. But we're getting off track. What about? So.
I think she really got her start hopping into Star Trek. So she plays a role. The main character is African American human who's raised by.
She is from The Walking Dead, isn't she? Not like Monique Green or something.
I'd have to wiki.
I remember there was an actress that left The Walking Dead to be in Star Trek.
It must be her.
Yeah.
But she plays a human who's raised by Spock's folks.
Gotcha.
I'm trying. It's funny because I forget all these nerdy names. I'm a nerd, but I track X-Men stuff. But nonetheless, though, she has this sort of interdimensional, multi-dimensional sort of thing that's going on, where she's jumping through dimensions, and there's different versions of, different characters, and it's the storyline is definitely expansive.
That's good.
But it's a really fun watch. You kind of get to see the production reapproach, Klingon people, and like how to do their designs, and you get some other new species that are in there as well, and you get these really powerful female characters in there as well. Like Michelle Yeoh is she's such a badass in the series. And you have different times, you have different versions. You have versions of the characters that die. You have versions of characters that continue living into another storyline. I'm not done with the series yet because it's pretty long. I think it's probably a number of seasons already.
Okay.
But I definitely endorse it. A lot of people don't know Star Trek very well. It's a complex universe to itself. It's nothing like Star Wars at all. But you kind of get this naval exploration feeling is what comes out of Star Trek. You focus on the stars.
Yeah.
And this one's pretty good.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
I like Star Trek a little more. It's a little bit less complicated than Star Wars, So I mean, I've only known a little bit, but I watched the more recent movies and I liked them a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it seems to focus more on just a certain amount of characters instead of a bunch of all these other characters. But I'm getting off topic, and that's another platform, another time.
The fans are very different between Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be one or the other more. You lean more toward one or the other,
Yeah.
So, but one of the most recent things I've been watching is pretty disappointing, but Morbius. So.
Oh yeah, I remember.
We were on the fence on watching that in theaters, and we all just got thumbs down. I was like, okay, it's coming to streaming. So because it's made by Sony.
Right.
It can't show up on Disney Plus yet, but thankfully for Netflix, it showed up. So I better watch this before it gets off there. And it lives up to the disappointment. So
I caught that one. I think I went on a vacation. I watched it, and it was
man. I mean, Jared Leto seems to be open up and show a different side of him a little bit more. But it's even he couldn't really save anything. It's just it didn't really need to be made. I mean, I can understand the concept of making these other villains or characters, but what Sony and Marvel should agree to do is they just put them in one big movie. Yeah. It's fine. We don't need a whole backstory.
Yeah.
same thing. It's not how he got his powers, blah, blah, blah. It's the characters, you can't really relate to them at all.
Yeah.
Boring plot. The villain is just as bad. So what I noticed with this movie and the Venom movie is that the antagonist is just a different version of the main character.
Right.
So it's just like in Venom, it's just like it's a different version. First of it's like I forgot what the first Venom, but then the second one it's Carnage. So it's just two versions of him.
Right.
And now in Morbius, it's just his friend that takes the blood sample and turns into him, and it's like lackluster. The actions are not even that good. Action scenes are not even that good or anything. It's just really boring.
I forget. Was there an Easter egg in that one?
So I forgot that there was one. I had to look it up. But Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, shows up and says, "We need to team up or do something."
Right.
I don't think they really teamed up in the movie unless he's going to be part of the Sinister Six, which is weird.
Right.
And since you have Blade coming out, it would be better if he teamed up with Blade and play like Ghost Rider later on, right? So I don't really get that, but and I heard that Kraven the Hunter's getting his own movie. I'm like, what's he going to fight, another version of himself? So like, just if you do a Sinister Six movie or a villain movie or something like that, then just put them together. If not, turn it into a show. A show would probably would have serviced that movie.
Morbius would have been much better as a show.
Yeah, so you can see why it tanked too. I mean, it's like you kind of want to watch to the end credit scene, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, it was when I watched that, like that was it, and I was like really disappointed with that movie. So yeah, I could see why. I'm glad I didn't shell out any money for it, So,
yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm kind of glad I at least watched it. So like, okay, I kind of know what's going on. But
Morbius is one of those characters where he seems very much of a supporting character.
Yeah, exactly. Not like a leading actor kind of movie thing like that. He couldn't hold it his own,
He's like just like another mad scientist.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you have the bat thing and it's like vampire bats, it kind of just reminds you of Batman, So it's kind of. And I thought, well, I guess in this case, I thought he was more for plasma, wasn't he?
Right.
This one he's more for blood, but it's fine. I guess.
I think one of the best versions of Spider-Man and the Spider-Man universe that we got was Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean,
covered everything with like solid storytelling, and they even had like the story arc that had Morbius.
Exactly, and he was in multiple episodes, not just one.
They use the character the right way because he's kind of an anti-hero. Like he supports Spider-Man, but at the same time he has his own struggle.
Yeah.
Kind of like Reptile, but a better Reptile.
Yeah.
Or the lizard. There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the same sort of mad scientist trope. They experiment on themselves. They become this sort of thing that's like not human all the way.
Yeah.
You kind of get that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So.
But the movie didn't feel like that at all.
It was just why.
It's just like bad Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. Why like. When you say skip that movie, you can skip that one. So
that one you could watch the Cliff Notes or like read like.
Well, it's on streaming. You can watch it and just see how bad it is. I mean, leave it on in the background. That's what I kind of did.
And that's good. Just just kind of get to know what it is, but definitely understand why it wasn't.
There won't be any oohs and ahs when he shows up, like and he shows up in another movie, like it's him. It's kind of he was kind of boring, So.
Yeah, they'd easily recast. For that,
so
for that
just Sony, in the future, just make one movie and have their origins just all together. No one's going to cry about making an individual movie for each single one character. Right.
Right.
But, okay, so what's another thing you've been watching?
So I want to say, like, probably the last thing, the most trendy thing that I've been watching has been White Lotus.
I saw that on HBO Max.
So. And it's, there's buzz about it, but there's also, I guess... It's kind of like the movie Bird Box when that came out.
Yeah.
And everyone was talking about Bird Box. Like, Sandra Bullock, Bird Box. And when everyone kind of got quiet and thought about it, we were all just kind of like, why did I watch that?
Yeah, and he had it on in the background. And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, okay.
So White Lotus, I think, is somewhat like that. You have a lot of the really great quirky writing of quirky characters who are kind of awkward. And this development that kind of leads into this sort of, because it always starts out with a murder. Oh, someone died, and you're watching it wondering how did they die, because the first episode has like this dead body that's randomly there. So you watch, you get through all this character development. The very first one happens in like a place like Hawaii, which is really interesting. You have all these dynamic characters, or at least we think they're dynamic.
Yeah.
But I think one of the issues, like White Lotus is on the second season. You kind of always get this sort of, people who are rich, who have privilege, and then the series kind of continues with the story where they end up getting away with having their privilege. And then someone who's really kind of like irrelevant dies for no reason. And it's just kind of like watching, let's watch rich people get away with things, sort of. And, it's done really well. The music's really fun. The characters are really, like, superficially appealing. But at the same time, if you're not in that same level of society, it's kind of like watching them saying, yeah, we can do whatever we want. And then, you get to watch us do whatever we want.
Right. So money and power kind of rule everything, right? You can do a lot of things, and it's swept under the rug. And if you got the right, connections and money, of course, then you can get away with it, right?
Literally like that. That's what it's going to say. Okay. So, it's a good trendy watch, but I think for those of us who are outsiders from that class level,
can't really relate.
It's a little insulting. It's a little insulting.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's just like, I'm Elon Musk. I can buy Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Sure, you can do whatever you want to do, but do that with your people over there and quit bringing us the plot you want about it.
So the last thing I've been recently watching is the Uncharted movie. So based off the video game, the popular video game. So if a lot of people don't know, Uncharted is a very popular video game, created by Sony. So this one was made by Sony Studios as well. So it follows the main protagonist of Nathan Drake, who's portrayed by Tom Holland. He's like a treasure hunter kind of way, and then he goes to treasure hunter. Of course, there's other people get in the way, try to steal, prevent him from stealing treasure or steal the treasure themselves. So there's like obstacles and things falling down, and he's trying to avoid them, and going through all these dangers. So it's done really well. Mark Wahlberg plays the side character of Victor Sullivan, which is kind of like a mentor to him. So they got that name right and stuff. But like what bothered me about it was that in the game, Nathan Drake is more of a. I mean, I know this is kind of like an intro movie for him to his character, but even in the first game, he was kind of like a big, taller guy, kind of scruffy, goes through a lot of, death traps and all that kind of things to get to the, game and all that kind of thing, So it's an action-adventure game, you use guns, you use fighting and all that stuff, and then the elements around, like the, dangers and stuff like that, buildings crumbling down, he's jumping from train to train and all that kind of stuff.
Kind of Tomb Raider-esque.
Yeah, exactly, right? And in a way, but more dramatic in a kind of way. Yeah. They have all that in there, but I like Tom Holland as an actor, but he just has too much of a baby face into it. He doesn't look like the character. I don't know if Tom Holland's going to get any bigger. I mean, he's already like in good shape already, right? Yeah. But it's just like I think they needed a big name for this, And then I think that they even mentioned the actor that did the voice acting for him would have been good. He had a cameo in here, and also
cool.
Yeah, and then there's also an actor named ironically Nathan Fillion that looks just like the character from the movie. That would have been good too. That I would have suggested too. So, but I understand it's a origin story kind of thing. But for some things I can't really see Tom Holland being him. I was thinking that he just jumped out of Spider-Man to this movie. Not really, but I did kind of enjoy the story for what it was. I thought I was gonna kind of hate it, but I actually kind of enjoyed it for what it is.
I'll have to watch that then.
Yeah, and then
which streaming service is this?
This is on Netflix.
On Netflix
too. Okay. But you kind of have to know the game a little bit, not necessarily, but if you watch the movie, then you probably want to know more about the game.
Yeah.
But the character Mark Wahlberg plays, when the older version, he has gray hair and a mustache, but he didn't have any of this. It's an origin story again, like I said. So, of course, at the end, it's going to lead to something that a sequel, of course. So in this one, he's hunting for a specific treasure, of course. It goes through all these obstacles and all this kind of a lot of stunts. It's kind of like Jackie Chan kind of movie with Tomb Raider mixed in it too.
Pretty good stunts though.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, it's not too bad. It's more of like avoiding these stunts, avoiding these dangers and all that kind of perils, and more than trying to like fighting. There's some fighting in it, but there's some action. It's not bad. I enjoyed it.
Whenever I saw the previews on the video games, I always thought of Tomb Raider when I saw Uncharted.
Yeah. So, but. The video games are outstanding. They are really good. The stories in there are exceptionally done well. But I guess for me, it just left a little something to be desired in. Just maybe the story was good, but just maybe Tom Holland. Maybe I don't know. It's just when I see Nathan Drake, I don't think of Tom Holland. So, but So, but
yeah,
you know,
casting is an art. Sometimes
Yeah,
they only cast for reputation.
I think it would have done better. I don't know, maybe critic wise or critically acclaimed wise, if they used the right actor too. Or, so, and of course they had to use Mark Wahlberg, of course, and like some more actors. So I was like, I'm okay with it. I watched it. I'm kind of glad I watched it on streaming too instead of theaters too. So
yeah,
but.
All right.
Yeah, but that's going to wrap up what we've been watching recently. Tell us what you guys have been watching. If you guys like our suggestions.
What your opinion is on what we've watched.
Yeah, exactly. You could like it or not like it us. You could totally love Morbius, but you'd be a stranger. I mean, a weirdo, but that's totally fine. But yeah, we're gonna have this continuation series going on. Watch things here and there, let you guys know. But yeah, comment, like, subscribe. Yeah, like Kamara said, put your
suggestions.
Yeah, what we want to watch.
Yeah, give some tips. We're open.
We're open. So, but yeah, thanks for nerding out, turn nonsense. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.
All right, see you guys.
Yep.